Hi, everyone. I'm Dave.
Rob.
Welcome to fifth quarter. We're excited to share our podcast with you. We'd like to thank Chipola College for sponsoring our podcast. It gives us a chance to utilize its fantastic resources on our main campus at Chipola College in Marianna, Florida, and also to talk about these core principles in our bachelor's program in business and technology in Chipola. We're excited. This whole origin of this was Robert's idea, and he's been championing this, and we've had some great momentum. So, Robert, thank you. This fifth quarter podcast, it's had some really good momentum.
Absolutely. And what I want to say before we move forward in the podcast is thank you to Chipola College for the resources and kind of getting this up off the ground. You know, it seems like it was just, almost a month ago now we were having a conversation in your office, and now next thing you know, we're rolling. So it's been a blast. I'm looking forward to many more episodes.
Yes, sir. So for our podcast today, we thought we maybe would start with some stats from the college game. So what do you have for us, Robert?
Well, we have an upset alert.
All right.
FSU upsetting number 5 North Carolina. Now, you know I'm going to be a little biased on this one. I've got to. Final score was 31-28. It was close. But what was impressive was we went up at the half. I believe the score was 31-7. What was disappointing was coming back out the second half, couldn't get the job done as far as scoring points. So we really lucked up. I think there was like 2 drop passes on North Carolina's end that really was the make or break for the game. But Knowles with the upset, final score 31-28. Sam Howell, North Carolina's quarterback, he was a former FSU commit, decommitted, went to UNC. Yes.
There's some back-end story there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He had made a statement, I believe, to the media that there was no hard feelings as to his decision to decommit from FSU, but he had 20 for 36, 374 on his yardage, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had a pretty decent night. Jordan Travis, 8 for 19, 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Battle of the running backs. Here we go. You know, I'm kind of partial to the run game. I love some ground and pound.
Old school game. That's right.
Ground and pound football. That's what I'm all about. Jay Williams for UNC, 18 carries, 119 yards, 1 touchdown. Versus Webb for us had 12 carries, 109 yards. Pretty impressive. Receiving core, Corrales for UNC, 4 receptions, 141 yards, 1 touchdown, and Wilson had 2 receptions for FSU at 61 yards. First quarter, North Carolina couldn't get anything done. FSU comes out with the touchdown, put them up 7-0. But the second quarter is what really told the tale. We come out, scored 24 points in the second quarter alone, compared to North Carolina's 7 points. Third quarter, second half, North Carolina comes out, puts 2 touchdowns on the board, and then another touchdown in the fourth quarter. But like I said, it was the little mistakes that ended up costing North Carolina the win. And I will say this, all the experts at ESPN and all the so-called analysts and all, every one of them projected North Carolina to win the game. But I've always taken the attitude that no lead is safe, no ranking is safe. You remember last week we talked about the shakeup at Texas A&M.
That's right.
Florida was like number 3, number 4, something like that, and Texas A&M pulled it out. Even though it was only 3 or 4 points, a win is a win.
So we look at that business principle of planning, of preparation. The Tar Heels were number 4 in the country before the game?
Number 5.
Yeah, so number 5 in the country. But FSU, the coaching staff, they were planning. They had the team prepared. They showed up ready to play. I mean, that first part of the game, the first quarter, as you just noted, into the second quarter, I remember it was like a blowout. I was thinking, wow, is this the FSU team we had seen that lost to Georgia Tech? That was amazing. The thought of the second half, of how they can maintain that preparation throughout an entire game. So you mentioned these ESPN analysts. They should be watching maybe this fifth quarter podcast, start getting some of their stats they're planning before they make that formal announcement. They should be checking out our show.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm having a blast doing this. I'm looking forward to many more episodes, just like I said before. But some of them former analysts are also former players. You know, they've played at the D1, D2 level. Some of them played pro ball. Obviously, I haven't gotten that far. So a lot of them would probably disagree with me on a lot of fundamentals. But overall, I would have to say every once in a while, even the experts have to eat crow. You know, I mean, and I can see, this is what I want to say, I can see where they're coming from going into this game thinking, well, FSU's just having one of those up and down seasons. You know, they'd be lucky to win 2 games.
Right. And Tar Heels number 5 in the country.
Right. I mean, if you look at that, that's a recipe for North Carolina to have a tune-up game just like Notre Dame did last week. So I can see where they're coming from, you know, giving FSU the underdog. But as I said, that's one of the amazing things about this game is On any given day, every dog has his day, and on any given day, you can get beat, plain and simple.
So what's exciting about football is, unlike baseball, where it's the best 4 out of 7, football, it's whoever wins that day. So in the business environment, planning and preparation is a daily undertaking. And so they demonstrated that well. They showed up, they had the team ready, and they really got off to a strong start and were able to hang on to that momentum throughout the game.
Oh, absolutely. Preparation is everything, but you also have to show up and play on game day. We used to tell players that, at the varsity level, junior varsity level, no matter what level you're playing at, practice is not fun. I don't think anybody ever comes to practice and says, yeah, I'm so glad to be out here. But the truth about it is practice is what makes perfect. Practice is the dues that you pay so that you can get to game day or game night. Friday nights for varsity, Saturdays for college, and then Sundays for NFL.
And as a leader, on the field as a coach or a player, that's where you really show your colleagues, show the other team members on your team of what you're made of. So if you show up to practice, you're prepared, you put in the game type effort when you're actually tuning up for that upcoming game, that's where you really earn it. That's where you really have that preparation take hold.
Yeah, and that's all part of being a leader. If people see that a so-called leader is not going to show up to practice, they're not going to put forth effort, they're not going to do the things that are expected of them, how can they expect those that are up under them to do it? Leaders lead by example. And that's another thing, that there's going to be issues with leaders. There's going to be players that'll have issues with coaches. There'll be assistant coaches that'll have issues with the head coach. But all in all, you've got to, like I said last week, you've got to have the mental fortitude to be able to push through that kind of stuff. You can't let that affect your performance. There's too many off the field issues that if a player or even a coach is not careful, you can let that affect your mindset, and you'll let that affect your gameplay, or you'll let that affect your coaching. And then the next thing you've got a recipe for disaster because you're allowing personal off-the-field issues to affect what's going on game day. Leaders have to know that you've got to lead by example. You can't ask a player or a fellow assistant coach to do something that you yourself are not willing to do. That's not how it works.
So we look at FSU and how they hung on to that momentum throughout that game. What can the coaching staff, what can the leaders do on the team to maybe not have it cut so close to the end of the game, to keep that big spread throughout all 4 quarters? What do you think they can do in the locker room at halftime to make a difference?
Well, at halftime, there really isn't a lot of key points to kind of touch on. That's just my viewpoint. Going into the half, 31-7 is the score. You're thinking, okay, just build off of this.
That's right.
That's about 95% of coaches, even at the D1 level in college football, are probably going to tell you, okay, we've got the lead, now we just need to build on this. We don't need to let off the gas is the term I'm looking for.
And they kind of did almost.
Yeah, and that's the issue. So defensively, I think on the defensive side of the ball, looking at this game in the second half, defense really did not get the job done. And it's easy to see why. They probably went into this to the half thinking, okay, we're up 31-7. North Carolina is surely not going to come back in the second half and make the adjustments that they need to make. But that's the thing about Mack Brown, the head coach at North Carolina.
Great history at Texas. He's a winner.
Yes, absolutely. And Mack Brown, I believe, was a student at Florida State. I believe he was a college graduate at Florida State, if I'm not mistaken. I think what needs to be fixed and the adjustments that need to be made are on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's where FSU really needs to make the adjustments and kind of focus on those key aspects at practice. Your drills need to be more fundamentally at sound as far as defense goes. Offensively, I think we've done a pretty good job. The offense had their mind right and they come out ready to play. But the problem is the defense has got to feed off that momentum. The defense has got to get out there and say, okay, we're going to hold them to 3 and out, give us the ball back. Offense, it's your turn.
That's right. And we've talked about before, you win championships in many ways, but kind of that historical way is running the ball well and strong defense. So
absolutely.
So in the college game, anything else, or are we ready to head into pro?
I don't have anything else as far as college is concerned. I think the next game on the board for FSU is Louisville. Louisville's like 1-3 right now, 1-4.
But ACC, they can win anytime.
They can win anytime, and the UNC FSU game proved it. So that one will be a great one to watch. Clemson, I believe it was last week, Clemson dogging Georgia Tech. Was it 73-3 was the final score?
Boy.
That was a scrimmage game. But moving on to the pro ball. What is that?
That's a cheesehead. Lombardi, Patriots. Not the Patriots, the Packers.
Who gave this man permission to bring a cheesehead? Did you see the score?
What? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Fair. Yeah. So let's get into the pro ball side of things. Tampa Bay taking on the Green Bay Packers, excuse me. See, you have me so flustered. See, you do that to me every single time.
No way.
Green Bay going into this game, I'm going to rub it in. Green Bay was number 1 in the power rankings. But I bet you didn't know that, did you?
Aaron Rodgers had a good season.
And one could see why. They were undefeated. They were 4-0 going into that game. Green Bay number 1. But coming to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa was not enough to get the job done.
Could be Brady's year. That's right.
Hey, it could be. Final score was 38-10.
Gronk showed up.
Yes, absolutely. Final score 38-10. Tom Brady 17 for 27, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. My man Ronald Jones at the running back position. Ronald Jones the second, 23 carries, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was averaging 4.9 yards a carry.
Really exposed the Packers.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I don't think anybody before that game thought that Tampa Bay honestly had a chance. And I read some of the comments on social media over the weekend. There was a lot of salty Green Bay Packer fans. I hope you're not one of them.
No, I support the Bucs local team and Brady, who cannot support a winner. The great history of the Patriots, bringing Gronk back and rallying the troops. I think people are questioning, was Brady really Brady? But if you look at how the Patriots have been progressing this year and Belichick's had some challenges, I think they're sub 500 now. Brady really could have been one of the main reasons why the Patriots won 6 titles.
Well, you're true. And this kind of shakes things up. There's now 3 undefeated teams, I believe, that's left in the league.
The Steelers?
Yep. Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans, Seattle Seahawks. I'm willing to bet that by the time we get to the end of the season, there's only one of those teams are going to be left standing.
Oh, I think they all 3 will have to lose. You think they'll? Nah,
I mean,
tough.
Anything's possible.
Right.
But here's what I want to get into aside from that, because that was a phenomenal performance by the Bucs, and defensively, on the defensive side of the ball, I believe Rodgers was sacked 4 times. I believe it was 4 or 5 times.
Lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, he literally was right. I mean, it got to the point where he was just trying to get the ball out of his hand. I mean, he was not trying to stand in the pocket.
And then the DBs were getting a jump on his passes, which is unheard of.
Absolutely.
There.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's that off-the-field drama around the NFL that I want to touch on real quick. So I don't know how much you have kept up with the Miami Dolphins, but Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama, rookie, he come in. I believe he started last week's game. Last 2 minutes.
They kind of drafted him, and he just coming off of surgery, right?
Yep,
so they were taking a chance on him.
Yeah, took a chance on him, which one could understand.
Yeah.
There was the whole slogan "Tank for Tua." Going into last season, the Dolphins didn't do so hot as far as a season record. But here's the deal: Ryan Fitzpatrick, an amazing veteran quarterback, come in.
I think he's a Harvard guy.
Oh, absolutely. Beat the 49ers, obviously beat the Jets, but the Jets are 0-6, so that's not really impressive that anybody's. Everybody's beat the Jets. But it's this little drama right here. So going into this coming weekend's game, I believe the Dolphins are actually going to play the LA Rams, who have Aaron Donald, who's a phenomenal defensive tackle. I mean, if he gets his hands on you, you're not going to have his grip. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, he plays inside, right? And he actually gets quite a few sacks from the inside position, which is unheard of.
A very, very physical guy. I would probably match him up to our defensive tackle at Tampa, Ndamukong Suh.
Okay.
A very, very strong physical guy. So the coaching staff comes to Tua and says, you're going to start this game after Ryan Fitzpatrick has had a phenomenal start to his season, the last 2 games.
Kind of a veteran, still hanging in there.
Absolutely, blowing out opponents. But he issued a statement on as far as the coaching staff choosing to start Tua over him. He says, and quote, "My heart just hurt all day. It was heartbreaking for me. I've been a starter. I've been benched for all kinds of different things in different ways, but this one is just really more different than any of them. I just felt fully committed and invested and felt like it was my team."
Yeah, he'd been winning.
Yeah, absolutely. So now what you have here is, I'm sure Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's a veteran, mind you, played for the Bills, played for the Bucs. Now he's with the Dolphins, and he's proven himself, and he's kind of hung in there. The coaching staff at the Dolphins is kind of sending a message that, well, we're going to go with Tua because even though he's a rookie and he's not experienced, he's the future of the team. But you don't want to throw away, what value you have in an experienced quarterback just because you want to, scrap the foundation and start all over again.
Yeah, I think even Belichick showed us how to do that. I mean, he had Brady waiting. They knew he was ready, even though he was 6th-round pick. And they were waiting for Bledsoe. Bledsoe, I think, got injured, got hurt, and they waited for that nice transition time for that reason. and the rest is history. So they really didn't have a reason except just to be proactive and to make it happen. So we'll see how that plays out.
Absolutely, and the recipe was there. In other news around the league, defensive tackle Steve McClendon from the Jets, I believe the Bucs traded a 6th-round pick in next year's draft for what I'm told is the best player on the Jets roster.
They could just be trying to manage their revenue right now since they're not winning.
I don't know if you say so. Like I said, they're 0-6 right now.
So it could be just a money game now. They're just
it could, but there's a lot of issues over Adam Gase, the head coach at the Jets. You know, the Jets 0-6. You trade away your best defensive player.
That's kind of a GM call as well.
Maybe, but as I just said, you know, like the Dolphins, you know, why would you want to throw away an experienced veteran player just to scrap the foundation and start over again?
Right.
So now, basically, what the Jets have done is traded away a great defensive player, but it helps us at Tampa Bay because, you know, I said last week Vita Vea is out on injury. I think he's going to be out for the season, and Steve McClendon coming in. I think he'll be able to fill a much-needed roster spot to be able to beef up our defense on top of. I mean, our defense is astronomical as far as the numbers, the sacks, interceptions. I believe we're in the top 5 in the league as far as rushing defense. We don't allow very many rushing yards or passing yards.
So some exciting events on the field, off the field. Off the field, we see maybe the Dolphins are going for the win now. They're just going to try to take the next step. We'll see if that actually pans out and works. Us as kind of sideline analysts, we're thinking that might be a little early. Let Fitzpatrick continue the momentum. You know, he's the leader on the team. With the Jets, you know, getting rid of that player, that could totally be revenue, just scrapping, building for the future. I don't even know if the coach will make it the entire season there.
I don't know. I think before the season's up, there'll be some people calling for his head. However, let me give some credit where credit is due. Joe Flacco, another veteran, Baltimore Ravens player, he surpassed Johnny Unitas at the number 21 spot of NFL all-time passing leaders with 40,337 yards.
He started as a backup when the season began, right? Where's he at now?
He's at the number 21 slot. He's with the New York Jets.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was with Denver, a short little slot, and now he's with the Jets, and he's right behind Joe Montana. So he's in between Montana and Unitas as far as all-time passing yards, which is nothing to snub at. I think he earned it.
And he's won a ring, so
Yep.
he may have the Hall of Fame waiting for him.
Possibly.
Right. So if we look at on the field of just that preparation of, you know, really focusing on your opponent, we can see the Bucs showed up ready to play, had a game plan in place to expose the Green Bay, maybe their defensive stronghold. They're good about the pass, but the run we didn't know, and they showed a weakness there. So preparation, continuing that momentum, we see FSU demonstrate that a little bit. The Bucs kind of actually showed how to play that out, how to have a game plan in place, and how to carry it through an entire game. I mean, they controlled Green Bay throughout that game. It wasn't even close. They were down, 10, right, initially, and then they just put their foot on the pedal and took off.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
So as we prepare for next week, who do we have the Bucs playing? Did you catch that?
The Raiders.
The Raiders, okay.
And
Las
that's
Vegas.
And that's going to be interesting, and I'll tell you why. The Raiders handed the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, their first loss of the season.
But it was in Vegas, right?
I believe it was. But, you know, Kansas City, they were a tough team to play last year, and it looks like they're still a tough team to play this year.
That's right. So, all right. So thanks, Robert. This fifth quarter is an exciting podcast to look at college ball, pro ball, and some key business principles. So thanks for this great data and sharing in this podcast with me.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, man.